Today, I want to talk to you about different scenarios where you might need to use boundaries at work and then how you can actually go about doing it. So boundaries is a massive topic, and when you talk about boundaries, it can feel quite scary to start with because we come from a society of people pleasers. Like, we want to make people happy and we want to please people in lots of different ways, and a lot of that comes into play when we're in a corporate environment, when we're at work and we want to make sure that we are helping everybody, saying yes to everybody, and climbing up that career ladder. So I'm going to talk about 3 ways and 3 scenarios in which you can start to use boundaries at work to take a little bit of pressure off, relieve some of that stress and overwhelm, and just be able to focus on actually doing your job rather than worrying, running around like a headless chicken to get everything done. So the first scenario is thinking about when people come and ask you to do things and your usual instant reaction is, yes, absolutely, no problem, I can help. If you are a recovering people pleaser or have just identified that you are a people pleaser, then that is something that can happen a lot. You just say, yep, no problem, I can help with that. And it becomes like a natural response, and you just then don't know how to stop doing that. But then you get back to your desk and you think, shit, how am I actually going to fit all of this stuff that I've just promised to deliver into my day job, as well as being able to have lunch, maybe leave the office at a reasonable time? It's probably not even going to happen. And it happened to me a lot. That was a scenario and situation I found myself in a lot. And it was something that when I came back from work after my breakdown, I had 3 months off work. And when I came back, it really gave me a chance to kind of reset the boundaries. And I know not everybody has that opportunity, but it really made me think about how I can reset the boundaries and how I want this to work going forward. So I just started to take baby steps. And the first thing that I did was, instead of saying yes straight away to anything that had been given to me and across my desk, depending on the person who asked, it would be that should be fine to help. Can I check my schedule and come back to you? Or can I just check with the team and come back to you? So you're not saying a no, you're not saying yes, but you're saying, I'm going to go away and come back and check with you. So one of the first things to think about is when people come to you and they start asking you to deliver new projects or pick new things up, it's really thinking, instead of kind of jumping in saying, yes, I can do that, yes, I can help, take a step back and give yourself the option to say, yes, I can help, but let me just go check my schedule to make sure that I can fit this in with my existing commitments. So you're not just going around and saying no, you're not being unhelpful, but you are being realistic about what you can and can't fit into your already probably very busy day. If it is your manager that is asking you to pick more work up and pick different things up, and you're kind of feeling overwhelmed and stressed with the amount of work that they're giving you, it's a great opportunity to take some time with them one-to-one and just say, I'm absolutely happy to do this piece of work for you, but it means that I will not be able to complete X, Y, and Z that is on my list. Are you okay with that? And as a manager, they're there to help you manage your workload. They're called a manager for a reason. So use them as much as you can to be able to help you decide what is and isn't important. And they will have oversight of more things. So they should hopefully be able to help you fit in the slots of what you can and can't do. So rather than just feeling like, yes, you've got to say yes to everything, it's really identifying the fact that, yes, Mr. Manager, Mrs. Manager, that's really bad, isn't it? That I went straight to Mr. Manager. Oh my God, do better, Lindsay. So if you're kind of saying, yes, manager, I definitely want to get involved with this, but if I do this, it's going to be at the sacrifice of me not doing this. Are you okay with that? And a lot of the time, managers will just be like, do this, do that. Can you do this? Because they've got a lot of stuff to do as well, and they don't take time to think and step back. It's key for you to be able to do that for yourself and advocate for yourself that you can't just keep taking on all of this work. You can't just keep piling it on. There has to be a way to stop. And that's definitely a good way to do it. The second idea around kind of putting those boundaries in place is really just coming to terms with the concept that just because something is urgent and important to the person that is asking you for it, doesn't mean that it needs to be urgent and important for you. So you might get thrown with a lot of people coming to ask for help, and that is the most important thing that they are working on at the moment, and that is why it's imperative that you work with them now to get this solution and to get this kind of fixed and solved and completed. But And it's easy to get kind of swept up in that urgency, that sense of kind of focus and needing to get this done. But actually taking a step back and thinking, this is urgent and important for you, yes, but does it need to be urgent and important for me? And I think really having that kind of grasping that concept was a game changer for me, and something that I definitely bring into my everyday now when I work for myself, but a lot when I was working in corporate. Like, is this actually urgent and important, or can it actually wait? Can it be pushed back? Can we set a different deadline? Does this have to be done now? And 9 times out of 10, if you go back to somebody and say, yes, I can do this for you, but it's not going to be until X date, they're going to be okay. All that people want is to be communicated with and to understand where they stand. And that brings me to my third tip around boundaries for this week, and that really is around communication. Now, it's all well and good that you spend a lot of time working on your boundaries, understanding what is and isn't important to you, understanding how you want your boundaries to be upheld, how that's going to help you. Like, all of that stuff is amazing, but if you don't communicate the boundaries to other people, there's just no point. So it's really, really, really key as that final step to make sure that you are communicating your boundaries with other people, so they firstly know how to kind of respect your boundaries and help you uphold them. But then there is a definite line that then, if that boundary is crossed, you can then have a conversation with them about why that isn't acceptable. So for example, let's go with, say you want to go to the gym 3 times a week at work, and when you're at work, and you want to go 12 p.m. till 1 o'clock. Let's just say that. And you put that in your diary, and that is in there as like a non-negotiable. Now, a lot of people don't take calendars very seriously. They just put in a time that works for them and don't think about anybody else. But if that time is really important to you, and you know the kind of the help that gives you and the difference it makes to your everyday life, then it's really about communicating that time with your manager, with your teammates, just so that they know that actually that is an important thing for for me, and I'm going to respect that. So that means that, like, if teams are kind of constantly contacting you in the hour, if they're constantly like trying to put meetings in that time, that then you can go back and say, look, this is really important. Can the meeting wait until I'm back at my desk at 1:30? And again, 9 times out of 10, that will be absolutely fine. But if people don't know what that boundary is that you want, then how the hell are they going to be able to respect it? Yeah, definitely something to think about. One final cheeky additional tip that I want to give you when we're thinking about boundaries and when we're thinking about creating more space and time in your calendar is definitely a game that I used to play at the start of the week on a Monday morning when I would go into the office, and I would see how many meetings I can get cancelled from my calendar. So the default really for meetings is either a 30-minute or an hour, and people will put a meeting in the diary before they've even really thought about what it is that they want to get out of that meeting. It's just, something's happened, I'm going to react to that. The reaction is, I'm going to put some time in the diary, and that means that we can go and solve it together. But a lot of times meetings aren't even properly kind of structured or thought about. It's just that then people get together for an hour, have a conversation, and then go away with just seemingly more work to do, but not necessarily having figured out anything in the process. So a lot of the time I would start the week and I would look through and I would see if there's any meetings that I don't need to be in. So were there members of my team that could actually go and do the meeting instead? Was I actually adding any value by being in that meeting? Like, I know that's like an ego thing. So obviously you might be thinking your ego is telling you that you're going to provide value the entire time. Like, that's great, but put the ego away for a minute and think about actually what value am I actually adding by being in that meeting, or can I add value somewhere else that is not in that meeting? Then I would think about, are these meetings actually necessary? Like, could they be emails? Could it be that you just have a quick 5-minute phone call with that person and figure out a way to go forward, rather than feeling like you then have to come together, have a 30-minute meeting and then walk away? Like, a lot of things can be solved quite quickly. Another thing, and this might be quite a difficult one if you work in an environment that and a culture that doesn't already foster this approach, but really asking, like, what is the actual purpose of the meeting? A lot of meetings go in the diary and they're just like catch up about X project, but actually understanding what is the outcome from the meeting. Can we get an agenda and pre-notes to look through, so you can actually come to the meeting prepared to actually talk through something and make some progress, rather than just sitting there and going through the presentation that you could have all read the week before. So really kind of questioning the person who has created the meeting. Is there an agenda? Is there information that you need from me? What can I do to be as prepared as possible for this meeting? And I know some people who, it's very ballsy, but will not go to a meeting unless there is an agenda and they know what is expected of them. And I think fair play to you. I was never really bold enough to do that when I was working in corporate, but definitely something I would consider going forward. And even if it's just like in a little baby step to kind of try that out, then that's definitely a good idea. So hopefully those tips were helpful, getting you to think about how you can set boundaries in a corporate environment. Hopefully lots of tips and tricks in there for you to think about. If you have any questions or want to go into further detail with anything, please hit me up in the comments, drop me a message, let me know what you think, let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you next time. Up to me, stop dancing.